Presidents and a vice president all caught with classified documents. This week, the lawyers for former Vice President Mike Pence discovered those records in his Indiana residence. His former boss, Donald Trump, infamously had his Mar-a-Lago home raided last year after refusing to turn those documents over to authorities. Meantime, President Biden's lawyers willingly turned those documents over once they were discovered in November, December, and again in January in several locations. All three claim that they had no knowledge of those documents being in their possession.
You got Trump, you got Pence, you got Biden. The only thing I think you'll find at my house is a bunch of Chick-fil-A bags on the floor. The bottom line is I don't know how this happened. We need to get to the bottom of it. I don't believe for a minute that Mike Pence is trying to intentionally compromise national security. I think that about Biden and Trump, but clearly we've got a problem here.
So let's go ahead and bring in Cheyenne Daniels, a political reporter for The Hill. So, Cheyenne, we have Trump first, then it was Biden, and now it's Mike Pence, and discovering these classified documents. And each findingly kind of seems to turn down the temperature on the preceding politician. But what do all these discoveries do for the landscape of the 2024 presidential race? Because all three names have kind of been circulating there.
Yeah, exactly. It's definitely been an interesting time to watch what we're seeing, especially as we're hearing from particular Vice President or former Vice President Mike Pence, President Biden saying they're not sure how they came to have these documents in their possession after they left office. And so what we are seeing is a little bit of a partisan fight, which is unsurprising. So we saw when documents were discovered at former President Donald Trump's house, there was an investigation that was launched. And of course, then that meant that when they were discovered at President Biden's home, the immediate demand from Republicans was if you launch an investigation into the head of our party, then you need to launch an investigation into the head of your party as well. There can't be any special treatment. So we haven't heard just yet if there's an investigation into Mike Pence that will be happening. I'm assuming there will be, but it's definitely setting up for, as of right now, two of the top contenders for the 2024 election to be going into campaigning with a DOJ FBI investigation into them.
And that's not something that a candidate wants, of course. But again, we're kind of hearing of these classified documents almost every week now, at least since the start of the year. Is all of this kind of becoming white noise to American voters?
You know, it's interesting because part of the trouble when we hear that there's classified documents being discovered at private residences is, as the public, there's quite a possibility we will never know what is in those documents unless they become declassified. And so for voters, I think there's a little bit of a confusion of how worried should I be? Should this be something that says maybe I shouldn't vote for this person? Or again, if we're looking at it where everybody who we have in front of us to vote for is somebody who had classified documents, just how important were those classified documents then? So I'm betting right now it's just creating a lot of confusion and frustration for voters as they try to determine who they want to cast their ballots for.
Right. That's a great point. So with all of these new discoveries, do you think this sets up a precedent for, hey, maybe we should be looking at past administrations like Obama, Bush, and Clinton and their VPs too?
You know, as we keep hearing, as you mentioned, almost every week of new documents being unearthed at private residences, I wouldn't be surprised if some of our former presidents and former vice presidents have started taking a step back to say, is there anything that I have retained, again, perhaps unknowingly, as we've been hearing, but I would not be surprised if they are starting to go through, or if we might, unfortunately, hear again. Hopefully we won't, but I wouldn't be surprised if it comes out that folks like former President Obama, former President Bush might start looking through their documents as well.
Fantastic point. Cheyenne Daniels from The Hill, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.